Wednesday, February 5th, 2025, SFO Community Roundtable. As you know, our previous chair, Al Royce, has termed out, and I, as vice chair, will be facilitating the meeting until we elect a new chair. Once the election is complete, the newly elected chair will take over the meeting. As a reminder, tonight's meeting will have hybrid access with members attending in person and the public welcome to attend in person or remotely. For those attending remotely, we will continue to use enhanced Zoom features, and we will periodically screen share the names of attendees. We'll now proceed with roll call to confirm attendance and verify that we have a quorum present to conduct official business. Diane, please proceed with roll call and confirm if we have a quorum present.
Thank you, Vice Chair. City and County of San Francisco Board of Supervisors, vacant. City and County of San Francisco Mayor's Office, absent. City and County of San Francisco Airport Commission.
Here, Doug Yackel.
San Mateo County Board of Supervisors. Here. Thank you. CCAG Airport Land Use Commission, absent. Town of Atherton, absent. City of Belmont.
Tom McEwen, present.
Thank you. City of Brisbane.
Terry O'Connell, present.
Thank you. City of Burlingame.
Andrea Papachon, present.
Town of Colma, absent. City of Daly City.
Pamela DiGiovanni, present.
City of East Palo Alto, absent. City of Foster City.
Susie Niederhofer, present.
City of Half Moon Bay.
Patrick Johnson, present.
Town of Hillsborough.
Christine Krolik, attending Just Cause, taking care of a family member, in this case, a 3-month-old grandson.
Thank you. City of Menlo Park, absent. City of Millbrae.
Stephen Rinaldi, present.
City of Pacifica.
Christine Bowles, present.
Town of Portola Valley.
Rebecca Flynn, present.
Thank you. City of Redwood City.
Marcelo Padilla, present.
City of San Bruno.
Sandy Alvarez, present.
City of San Carlos.
Neil Layton, present.
City of San Mateo.
Danielle Sarko-Goditsky, present.
City of South San Francisco.
Martin Gall's here.
And Town of Woodside.
Paul Gold, present.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Chair. We have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll proceed. The next item on the agenda is public comment on items not on the agenda. This is an opportunity for the public to address the roundtable on matters not listed on the agenda. Please keep your comments to 2 minutes, and note that while roundtable members can't discuss or act on these items tonight, your input is always valued. Diane, please read the instructions for public comments on this item.
Thank you. For those attending the meeting in person, please submit your speaker slips located at the front entrance to me. If you are attending on Zoom, we will use the raise hand feature in order to organize the public comment. During this general public comment section, I will ask those members to use the raise hand feature and press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. I will prompt you to unmute, and you will have 2 minutes. Thank you. And at this time, we received 2 public comments. First with Mr. Gerald Norton. Gerald Norton. Yes, please step to the podium. Okay.
Okay, thanks for the opportunity to speak. I've been a resident for 30 years here. Never had a problem with SFO. In fact, I hardly even knew it was there, except I used the planes once in a while. In about the last 12 months, I've found that there's been a massive increase in noise pollution. And I'm not imagining it because, as I said, I've lived here for 30 years, so I'm not senile yet. I'm still aware of what's going on. There's thousands of transactions a day. some of these reach decibel levels of almost 100 on the SFO meter in residential areas, which is unconscionable. In fact, it's gotten to the point I can't even enjoy my own home anymore. I've lost weight, now taking pills for high blood pressure. I can't function adequately because I only sleep 3 or 4 hours a night. And all these problems that have been generated are easy to solve. They're not complicated. So I'll just throw out a few bullet points. If you want to find out more, I'm more than happy to tell you what I found in my own analysis. One, since I haven't had this problem until last year, obviously the best solution is just revert to the prior procedures that were used that didn't cause a problem. They were successful. Why change it? Number two, there are many flights that can be made earlier that are too late. People go to bed 10:30, 10:30, 11. The most egregious flights begin at 11. Now, I know there's trans-Pacific flights that require using 28, which is abnormally loud. One is much quieter. But there are flights that you can schedule earlier that have no impact on the airline, no impact on the passenger, yet they have a big impact on the people who live here. Take a flight that departs at 11, have it depart at 10, people can go to bed, and it's not going to affect the airline or the passenger. If you're flying to Asia, whether you get there at 10 a.m. or 9 a.m. means nothing. But if you get an hour of sleep here, it's huge.
Thank you. We are at time.
I get more time?
We are at time. It's 2 minutes past.
I'm just scratching the surface. Anyway, I have a list of the issues, but I have a list of
Excuse me, sir.
to apply solutions.
If you could put your comments in writing, the roundtable would be happy to read them and follow any suggestions that we're able to address in the future.
We'll accept it. Thank you. And we have Ann Schneider. Ms. Schneider, you will have 2 minutes.
Good evening, Ann Schneider speaking for myself, and congratulations to all of you Roundtable members. As a 9-year member of this, it's a great committee for Millbrae. It's critically important. Most of you will hate it because it's very hard to get to accomplish anything, so I appreciate all of your time, and I'm here as a resource for you. I will be commenting later on ground-based noise because I hope that that's going to be part of staff report. But I'm announcing that I have created a new nonprofit. It will specifically be looking at infrastructure and how money works throughout the region, and specifically on transportation issues as they affect the close-in communities. For the new folks, close-in communities are Burlingame, Hillsborough, Millbrae, and San Bruno. We're the ones that bear the brunt of all of the actions of SFO and get no direct economic benefit for that. So the new nonprofit will be looking for that. If people are watching at home, look for that meetings to start in April once all of the paperwork is fully in place. Part of the problem that we have in the close-in communities, but most especially San Bruno and Millbrae, as the airport was created, the county gave up land that was Millbrae and San Bruno unincorporated. And that means that we have been at an economic disadvantage since the airport was created in the late 19-teens and 20s. That economic disadvantage continues to this day, leading places like Millbrae having the second worst roads in the county for that. So this new NGO will be looking at community benefits from the airport. New projects like the wind farm off Eureka is looking at community benefits from large regional operations that direct the communities that are most impacted by those operations. So that is my program or my plan in my post-election years. I wish you all luck, and I look forward to having more ground-based noise meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have one member on Zoom. Ms. Yapley?
At the December 4th roundtable meeting, the HMMH consultant had presented a slide on advanced air mobility, the MOU between Archer, an eVTOL manufacturer, and Kilroy, a property developer. The agreement agreement identifies Kilroy's Oyster Point development in South San Francisco as a critical hub in Archer's Bay Area network. They are studying a proposed sea portal waterfront mobility hub for eVTOL aircraft and electric ferry operations using renewable energy. I want to thank Roundtable member Mark Nogales of South San Francisco for helping me to secure the South San Francisco Principal Planner, Billy Gross, as a speaker at the upcoming Aviation Noise and Emissions Symposium, March 10th through 12th. He will be on the Future Ready Cities panel, which will explore how cities can proactively shape advanced air mobility policies rather than simply reacting to them. For example, to confirm with a legal expert that unlike the airport, cities can set advanced air mobility takeoff and landing night curfews and restrict the number of operations. Also on the panel is national expert and attorney Peter Kirsch, who spoke at the October 2nd Roundtable meeting and noted that he's working with several Bay Area cities on land use laws related to advanced air mobility. Cities, not the FAA, have land authority, making it critical that cities stay ahead of zoning laws to manage AAM. Previous San Francisco Roundtable chairs and members have attended this symposium, and I hope you will consider attending either remotely or in person. Thank you so much.
Thank you. There are no other members of the public at this time.
Great, thank you. Next, we'll move to set the agenda and approve the consent items. Do we have any members who would like to pull an item from the consent calendar for separate discussion?
Sorry, I had a couple of questions on the minutes, item 6, the ones from December 4th. Not necessarily pull, but ask some questions.
Well, I think that if we are going to pull the minutes for discussion, we'd want to go ahead with the other items first. So is there any other requests to pull an item? And so that would be the minutes of item 6?
Yes.
Okay. So can I get a motion to approve items 7 through 9?
Nogales move.
And a
Second.
Thank you. And do we need to do a roll call vote, or can we? Okay, can I get a roll call vote, please?
City and County of San Francisco Board of Supervisors, absent. City and County of San Francisco Mayor's Office, absent. City and County of San Francisco Airport Committee,
Yes.
San Mateo County Board of Supervisors. CCAG Airport Land Use Commission. Town of Atherton, absent. City of Belmont.
Aye.
City of Brisbane.
Yes?
City of Burlingame. Town of Colma. Absent. City of Daly City.
Aye.
City of East Palo Alto. Absent. City of Foster City.
Yes.
City of Half Moon Bay.
Aye.
Town of Hillsborough.
Yeah, I apologize for throwing a monkey wrench. I actually had some comments on consent calendar item 7. So when it comes,
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, I had my hand raised, but I don't think anybody saw me.
Thank you. City of Menlo Park.
Wait, which?
Absent. City of Millbrae.
Yes.
City of Pacifica.
Yes.
Town of Portola Valley.
Abstain.
Abstain. City of Redwood City. Absent. Oh, abstain. Abstain, thank you. City of San Bruno.
Aye.
City of San Carlos.
Can I ask just a quick point of clarification? Are we voting on, are we keeping item 7 on the consent, or are we voting to remove item 7?
We would be pulling item 7 to also discuss.
And just for the members who are new, and if you were not here for the minutes, when that vote does come around, you are okay to vote on those items. So right now, we're going to pull items 6 and 7 from the consent calendar. The vote now is for items 8 and 9, and then we'll go back for those 2 items.
For 8, 9, aye.
Okay, thank you. City of San Mateo,
Yes.
City of South San Francisco,
Aye.
Town of Woodside.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, motion carries.
Thank you. So we'll go back to item 6, the minutes. And Christine Boyles, you had some questions on the minutes?
Yeah, so these minutes were prepared very differently than the ones I've seen in the past and the previous minutes that are in this agenda, where, if someone speaks, we give the timestamp, and then at least for member comments, there's a brief summary, and here there's not. Yeah, for example, it says Member Schneider made a comment on this item. So I'm just wondering if this is the new protocol, or perhaps it was just missed on these minutes. So I just wanted to clarify.
I'll ask staff to respond to that.
Yeah, so the minutes that usually typically go in the roundtable packet are action minutes only. So they really do just reflect the actions that are taken. If it's at the direction of the roundtable, we can include more information in the minutes, but they do just reflect action items that were taken.
But just to compare, for example, on the previous minutes from October 2nd, like I made a comment and it says, Member Bowles made a comment regarding curfews and if international noise policies can be studied for reference, and then it has a timestamp. So if someone is looking, they don't have to go through the whole minutes. It tells them when it is. So maybe you're trying to simplify things and save staff time, but I think it's important for someone who's reading the minutes and trying to follow. So I want to make sure it's an intentional decision by the roundtable, if that's a change.
That was an intentional decision by staff. But if you would like, we can go in and make sure we include the timestamps moving forward. We are, just to let the roundtable know, working on updating our website so that it's a little easier to find the items in the meeting packet. We're hyperlinking things, but we can go ahead and include the timestamps moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
At the
And then just on
the chair.
page 13, there's a couple of names. Kathleen Wentworth's name is spelled wrong, and I love her so much. I hope that we can fix that. A little typo that needs a T. And then the last one, it just says Sue made a public comment, and that's Sue Degree, our former mayor of Pacifica and longtime roundtable member. Thank you.
So with those changes of the spelling and the admission of the last name, can I get a motion to approve item 6?
So moved.
And a second?
I second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Thank you. City and County of San Francisco Board of Supervisors, vacant. City and County of San Francisco Mayor's Office, absent. City and County of San Francisco Airport Commission,
Yes.
San Mateo Board of Supervisors, CCAG Land Use Commission, absent. Town of Atherton, absent. City of Belmont,
Aye.
City of Brisbane,
Aye.
City of Burlingame, Town of Colma, absent. City of Daly City,
I was absent at the last meeting.
thank you. City of East Palo Alto, absent. City of Foster City,
Yes.
City of Half Moon Bay,
Aye.
Town of Hillsborough,
Aye.
City of Menlo Park, absent. City of Millbrae,
Yes.
City of Pacifica,
Yes.
Town of Portola Valley,
Abstain.
City of Redwood City, City of, City of San Bruno,
Abstain.
City of San Carlos,
Aye.
City of San Mateo,
Yes.
City of South San Francisco,
Aye.
Town of Woodside.
Yes.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Motion carries.
Thank you. And that will bring us to item 7. And Christine, you had a question on that item?
Yes, I was, because we're setting the dates and the times for the meetings going forward for the year, I was just wondering if we could, between this meeting and the next, perhaps poll the membership, since we have apparently, from what I've been told, some quorum issues, to see if a different time in the day or evening would be more optimal. Even if it was an hour earlier and we served sandwiches or something like that, is that easier for people to get here? I'm just interested to see what the response would be.
Okay, I think that that's something we could direct staff to go ahead and run a doodle poll of some sort to see if that's possible. It's not something we could discuss at this time, and at this time we'd be setting the meeting schedule. Would we like to go ahead and direct staff to do that, and then go ahead and get a motion to approve item 7?
So move.
Madam Chair, would we not be able to just postpone taking that up until we determine if there's a better time?
Actually, at this time, it is part of our bylaws that we do have to set the meeting schedule for the calendar year at our first meeting. So at this point, we cannot deviate from that, so we would need to go ahead.
Subsequently, if the...
We can amend it subsequently. So with that, we have a motion on the table and a second, and I'm not sure, did the clerk get who made those motions?
I made the first motion.
Second.
Thank you.
And a roll call vote, please.
Thank you. City and County of San Francisco Board of Supervisors, vacant. City and County of San Francisco Mayor's Office, absent. City and County of San Francisco Airport Commission,
Yes.
San Mateo County Board of Supervisors,
Aye.
CCAG Airport Land Use Commission, absent. Town of Atherton, absent. City of Belmont,
Aye.
City of Brisbane,
Yes.
City of Burlingame, Town of Colma, absent. City of Daly City,
Aye.
City of East Palo Alto, absent. City of Foster City,
Yes.
City of Half Moon Bay,
Aye.
Town of Hillsborough,
Aye.
City of Menlo Park, absent. City of Millbrae,
Yes.
City of Pacifica,
Yes.
Town of Portola Valley,
Aye.
City of Redwood City, City of San Bruno,
Aye.
City of San Carlos,
Aye.
City of San Mateo,
Yes.
City of San Francisco,
Aye.
Town of Woodside.
Yes.
Thank you, Vice Chair. The motion carries.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the chairman update. However, I'll defer this item until after the conclusion of the elections, which is our next item on the agenda. So at this time, we're going to the nomination and election of the San Francisco Airport Community Roundtable Chair and Vice Chair. This section of the agenda is dedicated to the nomination. Members will have the opportunity to nominate candidates for each role, and if it is the pleasure of the roundtable, we can nominate a chair and vice chair with one nomination and one vote. Following nominations, we will proceed with a formal vote to elect our new leadership, and once elected, the new chair will assume the fluctuations of the meeting. Before I call for the nomination, I'll call for public comment on this item. Diane, are there any members of the public would like to speak?
There are no members in chambers that wish to speak or on Zoom. Thank you.
Okay. So now I will call for a motion to nominate a chair and vice chair for consideration by the roundtable with one vote.
Madam Vice Chair,
Yes.
I would like to nominate Christine Krolick from the town of Hillsborough as chair and yourself from the town of Brisbane as vice chair, and to do so as a joint vote.
And is there a second on that?
Yes, second.
Okay. Any other nominations? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
City and County of San Francisco Board of Supervisors, vacant. City and County of San Francisco Mayor's Office, absent. City and County of San Francisco Airport Commission,
Yes.
San Mateo County Board of Supervisors.
Aye.
CCAG Airport Land Use Commission absent. Town of Atherton absent. City of Belmont.
Aye.
City of Brisbane.
Yes.
City of Burlingame. Town of Colma absent. City of Daly City. City of East Palo Alto absent. City of Foster City.
Yes.
City of Half Moon Bay.
Aye.
Town of Hillsborough.
Aye.
City of Menlo Park absent. City of Millbrae.
Yes.
City of Pacifica.
Yes.
Town of Portola Valley.
Aye.
City of Redwood City.
Yes.
Thank you. City of San Bruno.
Aye.
City of San Carlos.
Aye.
City of San Mateo.
Yes.
City of South San Francisco.
Aye.
Town of Woodside.
Yes.
Thank you, Vice Chair. The motion carries.
Thank you, and thank you all for your nomination and approval of our new chair, Christine Krolik, and for approval of myself as vice chair. I will now pass the meeting over to Christine Krolik to continue the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair, and thank you, colleagues. For those of you who are new, welcome to this great committee. And for those of you who are continuing, I just want to let you know, although I've not been on recently, I did serve for 6 years on this committee. I've always had a great deal of respect for the important work of the Roundtable and honored for your faith in me to carry on as chair. The previous chair, Al Royce, did approach me about doing this, and I'm happy to do it. I'm delighted. I just began my 4th term on the Hillsborough City Council. So as chair, I'll be making appointments to our subcommittees, which I think as they stand are the technical working group, the legislative subcommittee. There's also a ground-based noise committee. Technical working group meets 5 meetings a year, all remote. The legislative subcommittee meets twice a year. Ground-based noise, if it continues, is 2 times a year. They've had some studies that are complete, I understand. And then there's a work strategy 1 time a year. I'm moving under the assumption that all members will continue unless told otherwise, and would love to know if anyone else is interested on serving on any of these other committees, and the appointments will be made between meetings. So please let me or Vanessa or Diane know if you're interested, or just give any one of us a call if you need more information. So I will be collaborating closely with our Roundtable coordinator to develop a comprehensive work plan for the next fiscal year. This work plan will address key administrative priorities, including a review of our bylaws to ensure that they support effective governance and allow us to consistently achieve quorum. On the technical side, we'll focus on creating innovative initiatives aimed at noise abatement at the airport, which obviously is our main focus. Initiatives designed not only to address current challenges, but to deliver meaningful benefits to the communities we represent. So I look forward to working on each of you to advance our mission, strengthen our impact, and continue advocating for quieter skies and healthier communities. So thank you again for the opportunity to serve. I believe we have done the items 6 and 7. Is that correct, Vanessa or Diane? Or
Yes,
Terry?
that's correct. We're now on item 10.
All right, 8, which is the airport director's report.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to begin by making a comment on behalf of the entire airport community. Our thoughts and prayers continue to be with the victims and the families of the mid-air collision that occurred at Reagan National a week ago on this evening. Obviously, this triggers a search for answers. Certainly the families expect and demand it. Our aviation community expects it in an industry that is so dominated by safety. When something like this happens, we all want to know why. And the challenge is that we've got a very credible agency in the NTSB conducting the investigation. The challenge is this process takes time. And having been through a fatal aircraft accident at SFO in 2013, it took us approximately 12 months to get a complete report from the NTSB with the causal factors, and we'd expect a similar timeline. Certainly information is starting to trickle out, but We know that part of going through a thorough investigation involves taking time. Certainly, we're seeing this reinvigorating a conversation around a lot of different topics, including air traffic controller staffing. We remain in close contact with the FAA to ensure that we're comfortable with where we're at. So we'll continue to monitor the developments in that regard. At SFO, just an update on passenger traffic. We finished 2024 serving 52.3 million passengers. That's a 4% increase over 2023. Interestingly, flight operations only increased 0.4% during the year. So we continue to see airlines increasing their capacity, not by adding flights, but by using larger aircraft, which we always encourage. And these passenger levels are 91% of what we saw in 2019. So we're getting very close to pre-pandemic levels, but we're not quite there yet. We think that in 2025 we might reach that. I always like to provide an update on new airline service that hasn't been previously announced in this forum. So since we last met, Frontier launched a seasonal service to Vail in late December. It's a one flight a week, arrives at 6:50 p.m. and departs, not the same airplane, but departs at 1 in the afternoon. It's an Airbus A320 aircraft. That seasonal service ends in April. United also announced nonstop flights from SFO to Panama City starting May 22nd of this year. That'll be a daily year-round flight, arrives at 9 p.m. Again, not the same aircraft in the turn, departs at 10:55 a.m. That's a Boeing 737. And then lastly, you know, we've had a leadership change at SFO. Our previous airport director, Ivar Satero, has retired. He's been replaced by Mike Nakornket. Mike reported to his post on January 2nd. Most recently, Mike was the Chief Financial Officer and Executive Vice President at Denver Airport. He had previously spent 13 years at SFO. He was the Director of Financial Planning and Analysis and the Acting Managing Director of Finance. So he's traveling on business this week, but we certainly look forward to having you meet him in person at an upcoming roundtable meeting. And with that, I'll turn it over to Bert for a few of his updates.
Thank you, Doug. So this evening, sorry, not trying to give everybody feedback here. All right, we got it turned down a little bit there. So wanted to start with our noise office updates. We have some good items for you here. Just a quick report, though. If I can get the PowerPoint to play with us here. Little on the slow side being on the Wi-Fi and not a hard line tonight. Okay, good. There we are, and we'll go ahead and make it a presentation for us. The noise office task items, we had the Fly Quiet program. We finally got our Fly Quiet program straightened out. It was an issue with the automation, and worked hard with our vendor to nail that down. We're up in the process of completing the reports and updating those on our website. The portable noise monitoring program, that's been something that we've been talking with the portable noise monitoring subcommittee. We were reviewing some permanent portable locations. There were 2 of them in Brisbane, one in Portola Valley and one in Woodside that we've done for quite some time. And we're asking if those need to continue. The portable program that we're assigned by the Roundtable, East Palo Alto, and Pacifica. East Palo Alto was terminated due to the building being re-roofed, and it was continuing. So we haven't been back, because every time we asked, they said, sorry, no. And that one hasn't been done in about a year now. Next. On the repair and replacement initiative, we had a drop in the number of homes, that you can see right here from 60 to 32, which is good because there's a units in design. That means they're out in construction. As you can see, we had the units out for bid here, 11 and 8 in construction, now 19. Satisfaction rating remains the same, and the number of homes completed about the same, number of homes being treated up from 28 to 51. Second chance here. We had a few items change with the number of homes in design coming out, design into construction, notice to proceed. So those are moving along. The satisfaction rating remains the same at 97.14, and all the other items in the report remain the same. Our expanded eligibility initiative, there have been no changes in this report. So as you can see, the numbers across the board remain the same all the way from November and into January. Through the chair, any questions on this one?
Does anyone have any questions for Bert or for Doug?
Question for Doug. The issues at National Airport and the air traffic controller, I guess there is the ability to, there is the ability for a supervisor to allow a controller to go home early. I guess that's what happened. So you had one controller that was in charge of both the helicopter and the airline monitoring. The first question I've had is, do you have an issue with filling vacancies for air traffic controllers at SFO? And do you at any time find yourself having to have one controller actually operate both helicopter and airline traffic? Not that we have as much helicopter traffic as they do, but I was curious on the vacancy issue.
These are details that probably are best answered by the FAA. The last public data that I saw on tower staffing at SFO indicated a head count of 28 against a target of 30. I know that that number of 28 includes some trainees, but our sense from the FAA is that they're comfortable with where they're at in terms of their staffing targets. I guess the other way that we measure it is in the absence of mitigation that we see at some other airports. We've seen airports in South Florida have to implement delay programs because of controller staffing. We've seen controllers in the New York metro area have to reassign work to Philadelphia. We've also seen voluntary requests from the FAA to airlines to reduce their flight schedule at New York area airports. These are mitigations related to challenges in staffing, and these are mitigations we've never faced in San Francisco, fortunately. So, but obviously we continue to stay close to the FAA on this topic.
Has the airport taken any positions on the potential problems that would be associated if the air traffic controllers at San Carlos were not functioning?
Obviously, we took an interest in the staffing issues. Our understanding is that the transition to a new vendor and some of the concerns over the contract with their employees have been resolved, but yes.
Only for 2 months?
We continue to monitor that, yes. We have not taken an official position, but obviously we're watching it closely.
So it is still transitional, and I think we just need to be alert to that, and probably would implore you to make a statement to the FAA as to your concerns associated with it.
We have been in communication with them on this topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Spear, and thank you. Are there any other questions for Doug or for Bert before we move on? All right, so the next item on our agenda is the SFO airport update.
Actually, if you don't mind,
That's what I
Madam
thought.
Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
have a presentation that was asked to do by the previous roundtable coordinator on the Fly SFO website for our WebTrak.
Right, the WebTrak, sorry, that's what I was getting to, that we're going to receive the WebTrak 101 presentation.
Yes.
And I guess this provides an overview of how to use the platform to track aircraft noise data.
It does.
And it's items for information only, and we'll call for public comment at the conclusion.
Very well.
Thank you.
So I'll go ahead and share a screen here. Those of you who have the presentation in your packet, it is basically what I'm going to walk you through here. And I'm trying to keep from getting feedback. So to go to the Aircraft Noise Office website, it's noise.flysfo.com. Once there, you'll go to the data and reports. Click on the noise and flight tracker. Since I've been here before, it's not asking me to agree to their user agreement, which is a fairly straightforward yes item. I agree. You'll be asked to do that, but it will drop you exactly here. And some people say, oh, what am I looking at? Well, real simple. Let's go around the clock, starting at the top left and work around to the right. You're going to be looking at the quick start tabs over here. You'll have the start guide, your investigate, your legend, and the help. These under quick start guide, it just basically tells you what you're looking at. So the aircraft, the colors, tells you why they're color coded that way. The trailing lines behind each indicate the aircraft's path. The map, you can change the map. In fact, I will do that by moving the item. So we can go for a satellite map, or you can go for the road map. The other items you can do, the controls. You can, down here, we'll get around to that, going around the compass. Noise items, these colored circles with numbers in them are our aircraft noise monitors up and down the peninsula. We actually have 29 of them. And as the colors are green, it means it's a fairly low number. It goes up to the yellows, orange, red. Here's an orange down here. It means it's getting louder. The tags are items that you can do by clicking on an aircraft, and you'll see the full tag on the aircraft. So this is a United Airlines Flight 2110, a Boeing 738 MAX from San Diego to SFO. This is currently just past the San Mateo Bridge at 1,400 feet and 155 knots for his landing. We'll retain that here for a moment, and we'll get around to the other parts of that. We've looked at our maps. We've seen the time. So if you look here at 7:43:28, and down here at 7:47 p.m. There is a delay, and that's due to the fact that we need to have a little bit of a security delay on this, as well as the vendors receiving the data, cleaning it up, getting it onto the screen in a viewable fashion. As we come around, we're looking at the layers box. You can view noise contours from 2014, 2019. One of the other ones you can do is look at different departures and arrivals. So if you're interested in the gap departure to the west, click the gap. It will light up this green swath here. It's a general representation of where the flights would be when you're looking at that, or you can light up all of them. Close this for a better view. And you can see departures, which are our dominant departures across the bay to over Oakland Airport, and then up the bay for the night departure. There's also gap departures going trans-Pacific. Around the Horn is the Santana departure. And then we also have one that people are very familiar with on the peninsula, which is the Stick departure here. Yes, the FAA does have a sense of humor because Oakland has the candle. We have the stick. You'll see that with their naming of other procedures around the area too. Our arrivals we'll look at now. So we have a down the bay visual approach here, which is one of the most preferred, as it keeps the aircraft over the water for a considerable portion of the flight. We have our oceanic arrival called Pirate. We have the Surfer, which comes up from the south. And then we have the Diamond or Modesto arrival out here coming in from the east. Then we have the Bodega, forgot that one, comes down the peninsula and joins in with these. A lot of people use that to see where the flights are in relation to what they would expect. The tabs down here, you can go into flights, you can go to historical. So if you wanted to go back over the weekend and see what was going on, you could do that. Let's say, look at Sunday, see what was going on with the weather. You can do that. It'll take a moment to load since we're on the Wi-Fi here, and I'm also doing the presentation. But once loaded, you have the controls down here where you can then zoom forward, speed up, slow down, change items you're wanting to look at. And I think since we're loading, that's good. Okay, so here we're in reverse flow, which means that the aircraft are arriving on runway 19 and departing on runway 10 or 19 coming out as though they were a 10 departure. Depends on the winds. You can click on the aircraft again and see what's going on. If you, say, lived up in San Francisco and this particular flight bothered you, you could click the comment bubble and leave a comment. And that means you filed a noise report on that aircraft. If you wish to see the trail of that aircraft, you can click the tail, and it will show you where that aircraft has been. And get rid of the layers now. And you can see where the aircraft was vectored to get onto the final layer. And then, if you wish to mark your house here in San Francisco, you could do that. And so you'd want to locate it and then plop it there. It would then file the report based on your area there and say how far away it was from you. Your views, you can also change the aircraft tags. If you need smoother aircraft movement and you have a good Wi-Fi connection, good internet, a quick computer, I'd click that. Your layer selector, you can also choose what you want to see. There is a weather panel if you wish to see the weather. Down here, pops up. You can move it anywhere you'd like. And then the rainfall, oh boy, that's a good one right now. So you can look at what the current rainfall is based on the readings that we're receiving. And I think that we have concluded, yes. Through the chair, any questions on WebTrak?
Thank you, Bert. What an impressive and useful tool. I think we're going to go to public comment first before we come to member questions or discussions. Diane, are there any members of the public who wish to comment on this?
Yes, we have one member in chambers. Anne, you'll have 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. I came tonight because I thought we were going to get a report of the temporary microphones that were in Millbrae that would show things that are drastically different. What you are seeing tonight, especially for those that are new, is it works great when the airplane is above you. It does not work when you are behind the airplane. And in 2012-2014 timeframe, the airport moved the runways, runway one left, one right, 450 and 250 feet closer to Millbrae. That moved all the noise in back of those jets that are taking off. The bigger the airplane, the louder the airplane, moving closer into Millbrae all the way up into the top of Hillsborough. That is not recorded in here. That's why when you see the insulation programs, only 3 homes in Millbrae qualify now because the FAA does not count the noise in back of the runways. So Bert, I'm glad I've played with the system, but my question will be to you. For those of us who live in back of the runways, how will this report help us monitor those flights? For example, 3 or 4 nights a week between 2 o'clock in the morning and 2:30, at least 6 or 7 flights go off. The noise all lasts 4, 5, 6 minutes apiece. And at my house, which is 2 blocks from here, will hit 75 decibels and above. But as you normalize this data over a year, it again does not count. When Chair Krolik talked about ground-based noise meeting twice a year, when we first got the committee going, we met every other month. It was put on hold during COVID. It was put on hold so that Palo Alto could be considered as a joining member, and it has been on 2 meetings a year ever since, which is not enough to dive into the data that is specific to Millbrae, Hillsborough, and Burlingame in terms of being in back of the runways. So I had thought we were going to get some new data. I guess that will be coming on that, but none of these reports, none of the information you have talks about those of us who are literally hundreds of feet from the runways and get no mitigation at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Well timed. I'm going to ask the vice chair, would you help me? It's hard for me to see who wants to speak. Would you please take over and call on the members who wish to speak or comment on this or ask a question?
Sure. Please go ahead.
Is there an app associated with this program? And then my second question is, I'm Portola Valley. We report a lot of noise. Most of us use the stop.jetnoise.net program that was set up independently, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still going to be able to work with your system? Will we still be able to report through that system?
If I may, through the chair, respond?
Please.
Yes, to answer your questions, we do have an app. We also have, obviously, WebTrak, where you can file through there as well. The WebTrak can be used on anything. You can pull it up on a phone, iPad, computer. As far as the stopjetnoise.net, we have a great relationship with the gentleman who founded it, Adam Worrell, and we receive data from him on a monthly basis on a download. We then take it into our system, compare it to what we have, and then put it in permanently. So those reports are going into our system. I've told people over the years that he has informed us that he has an issue where it's growing long in the tooth. He will either need to rewrite it or shut it down at some point in time. Since we don't fund it, we don't do it. It's a private enterprise. All I can say is we've had a good run, and if he chooses to update it, we'll keep going.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the members? Please.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Just a quick question about, I've often used Flight Tracker, the app. I don't know, is it something that SFO operates at all, or is it completely independent?
No, if you
Track
use
all the
like
flights
Flight
that come-
Radar
yep.
24 or something like that, Flight Tracker, there's also globeadsb.com, one of my favorites personally, but I like our website as well. I think our website does have good coverage, has good data.
You know, you're correct. It is Flight Trader. For some reason, I thought it was Flight Tracker. Thank you.
No problem.
Please, Christine.
Thank you, Bert. I look forward to playing with this more on a computer. I'm having a little trouble on my iPad, but I know sometimes, I mean, you show the path, but a flight might deviate from the normal path for whatever reason, sometimes for safety, sometimes they're taking a little shortcut that they're maybe not supposed to take. And I know I once met with you and we saw some of that on a particular flight that was particularly noisy, especially late at night. Is that something that is reflected here, or is that something that we would still need to come to you individually if we had those questions?
No, it's definitely reflected there. If I'm able to go back to share screen, I'll bring it back up one more time. Okay, so in this one, this flight landed, so let's go ahead and, oh, it's on short final. So we'll go ahead and kill its trail. There we go. And so any of these flights you can look at. Let's go back to current. And the reason I want to do that is by doing this, we'll see the flights as they're coming over the peninsula. I'll then, oh, you can see the weather up here. So it's definitely a neat feature when it is raining. I don't know if you guys are like me and use the AccuWeather and look at that. That's what this is. That's the NexRad weather radar. Anyway, bit of a slow feed here. Anyway, you would use the panel that shows our, let's see, view, info tags, layer selector. And on this, you would say, all right, we're looking at Pacifica, your city. We'll zoom in on Pacifica here. You can then go and say, I want to see what departures might bother us. So you would look at stick, you would look at gap, and if we get, say, an early turn on gap coming down like this, then we'd want to investigate that. If we're looking at a port departure that is brought wide, that's a potential investigation item too. So keep in mind too that the flights aren't bound by these. If we brought up, like I look at in my tool on my desk, I can bring up a day, a week, an hour, whatever, and look at those, and you will see a wider swath than you see here. But those aircraft are where they're supposed to be. It's a matter of physics when they actually get up in the air, how heavy the aircraft is, how high it is, how fast it's going, where they will be. Today, it may follow the middle of this green arc. Tomorrow, it may be on the left of it or the right of it, depending on how things are going. So it will vary.
If I might say something on that, just for the members' benefit. When we had a meeting with the FAA and in the technical working group, they did discuss giving vectors or change of flight plans from the deviations from their flight plans. And really they said that if a pilot asks to make a turn early, unless there's a good reason not to give it, they give them that authorization to turn early. Because the pilot wants it, there's no reason not to, they let them do that. And so a lot of flights that go off the normal basis of where you expect a flight to be going with to stay in the quietest zones, the FAA allows them to change that, the air traffic controllers do, to get them to their destination quicker, or for whatever reason, the pilots don't even have to give a reason. They just say, we'd like to turn early, and if they can do it, the FAA air traffic controllers grant that. In that technical working group, when working with the FAA, we did talk to them about how we could convince air traffic controllers not to grant that special turn or a deviation from their flight path if they're not up to a certain level or a certain distance from the airport, so that it would have less impacts on the ground. It's something we were working on. We'll have to see how that goes moving forward, but I think it's a good thing to keep in mind that while we ask them to follow these flight plans, they can make the changes on the fly from air traffic control. So it's something that it limits what we can really, what the airport can do. It limits some of the issues that we can, unless we get the cooperation of air traffic controllers.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Bert or on this item? And there was no other members from the public on Zoom?
None of
All
us.
right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Vice Chair. And thank you again, Bert and Doug, for all those reports and that hard work. And for the new members, don't hesitate to ask questions. And if there's a need for new member orientation, I'm sure we could schedule that as well. So the next item on our agenda, item 11, as noticed, was a briefing from the FAA on the powered lift rule. I believe this has to do with air taxis and drones. So the presentation was originally scheduled as a follow-up item from our December meeting, but due to transitions within the FAA, we will not be able to hear the presentation at this meeting. So we're working to reschedule this briefing for an upcoming meeting, and we will continue to engage with the FAA to ensure clear communication and ongoing dialogue with this roundtable. So we'll now move on to item 12, which is aircraft noise, established roles and responsibilities. And this will be presented by Jean Rendell from HMMH. HMMH is our expert consultants. And Jean will present on the established roles and responsibilities related to aircraft noise management, clarifying how different agencies and stakeholders collaborate to address community concerns. This presentation may be particularly helpful to roundtable members who are new and interested in knowing more about your role. So this item also is information only, and we will call for public comment and member comments at the conclusion. So Jean, welcome, and please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What these are is a few months ago, actually several months ago now, the roundtable suggested that I do like a single slide type presentation just to provide information to the members. So for instance, 2 meetings ago, I think I talked about curfews. So this is just information that seems to always come up in discussion, and just to have some information. Hopefully you can keep these slides at your fingertips so you can go back. Oh, I remember, Jean said this. Anyway, what I want to talk about today are the established roles and responsibilities for aircraft noise in the U.S. And so the policy that I'm going back to was back in 1976, and there is no update to that noise abatement policy since then. However, we do know that the FAA has been working on an update to their policy for the last several years, but is still working on that. But since 1976, I can say that a lot of the noise abatement policy has really changed, although not written changed. But this really has stayed solid in terms of the roles and the responsibilities. It's really the only thing I pull out of that old noise abatement policy to actually talk about, because it still stands today as who's responsible for what when it comes to noise, aircraft noise, and aircraft noise abatement or mitigation. So to start with, the federal government is responsible for source emissions, air traffic control, funding of noise abatement and mitigation, and safety oversight. And so what that means is that they really are the ones, the FAA are the ones to regulate how loud aircraft can be and fly in the U.S., and where they fly, and the safety of those flights. Then if we go to the state and local government, their responsibility is on land use control. This is really important because there's a lot in federal regulation that suggests that you control land around an airport to make it compatible with aircraft, specifically aircraft noise. However, the responsibility is not with the FAA, it's not with the airport. It is truly with the local land use jurisdictions. They're the only ones that can really make a change to land use and determine, what land uses are compatible, what land uses they're going to put there. So it's important that we continue to work with those local jurisdictions to help us in the noise environment. Next, we go to aircraft operators. They're responsible for the scheduling of aircraft, aircraft operations, cockpit procedures, they're flying the plane, and then fleet improvements. So as quieter aircraft come off the manufacturing lines, they're responsible for putting them into their fleet. They are also the ones we've heard a little bit of talk even tonight, but at most of these meetings about schedules. Why can't they fly out at 10 o'clock at night instead of at midnight, right? Well, the schedules, again, are not in the purview of the airport. They're not of the purview of the FAA. They're the purview of the airport, of the aircraft operators. And there's federal regulation that says that you cannot really unjustly discriminate, so you can't tell the operators when they can fly. Then we go to air travelers and shippers. The reason those are in here is because the responsibility for paying for noise abatement, paying for noise mitigation, it all comes from taxes received from ticket tax or cargo tax, those sorts of things. A lot of people ask, well, is this coming from taxpayer money? Well, only if you bought a ticket, right? And that's the revenue source for addressing noise issues in the U.S. The airport operators, like SFO, their primary responsibility for planning and implementing all noise abatement and compatible land use measures. So there are, again, federal regulations put into place. They are voluntary that the airport can do to plan and implement for noise abatement and noise mitigation. There's also on there for current and prospective residents, and their role is to, and responsibility is to seek to understand and act accordingly. Basically what that means is, try to understand why you're experiencing what you're experiencing, and understand whether there's anything that can be done about it, those sorts of things. Kind of leads into then the roundtables. And what I pulled here for roundtables actually comes from the FAA on their website. And it's address community concerns. Basically, as you guys are set up, you are representing those communities around the airport and try to come up with solutions that work. The reason that the FAA actually promotes the use of roundtables for this purpose is because it is hopefully taking into account the viewpoints of all your areas that are surrounded. So for instance, the FAA also has a policy of not shifting noise. What does that mean? Well, you can't just say, take the noise that's going here and put it over this neighborhood, right? They are opposed to doing that, but that doesn't mean that there are things that you can still do. And so they wanted all the communities to get together. So if, for instance, we had all the communities together and you all agreed it would be okay to shift that noise and they were convinced of that, they may consider doing that, but they wouldn't do it unless the community that was going to be negatively affected also had a voice in that process. So the other thing I would suggest on the roundtables, if you have not for this one, you do have bylaws. It is good to review them occasionally, kind of level set, remind yourselves, you know, what this body was enacted to do, and this body was enacted by the Airport Commission, I think it's called. And so it is an enacted body, so it does have very specific bylaws and things that you are responsible for. So that's really all I had, and these were meant to be like 5 or 10 minute items, and willing to take any questions or have further discussion through the chair.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you for that. I think we'll open public comment first. Are there any members of the public, Diane, who wish to comment on this item?
Yes, there's one in the room and one on Zoom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ann Schneider. This committee is a huge learning curve. First, you should know that most roundtables around the world include air emissions, which are particulate pollutions and other pollutants from the air as well as noise. You should know that within the federal government, the FAA handles noise, but the US EPA handles emissions, so the two don't talk to each other. I did talk to them when I was back on a DC business trip 2 years ago. 3, a lot of the issues that should be helping the close-in communities are handled by the Air Resources Board, except the California Air Resources Board does not handle airports. So that puts us in a rock and a hard place. When I went back and read the original incorporation papers of this roundtable, which was one of the earliest, it did include emissions. But I've had previous chairs of this group fight the fact of emissions. Now, I will appreciate Supervisor Spear, then Congresswoman Spear, for having 8 pieces of legislation introduced in 2020, only to have COVID come in and pretty much put a squash on that. But this roundtable before all of us gave up our right to a curfew. And what has happened over time is more flights, especially that we're Pacific Rim oriented, are nighttime flights, flights leaving after 10 o'clock at night all the way until 5 o'clock in the morning. And those are the ones that most greatly impact the close-in communities. And that is why ground-based noise should be met more often. There is a problem, and we need to continue to fight the problem between US EPA and the FAA and the California Air Resources Board, because what happens is all of Millbrae and all of San Bruno are now considered at high particulate matter risk and high air pollution risk. And that's under President Biden's Justice 40. That website has been wiped out. It has been archived on that. It's just not as simple as that. I tried for several years to get review of the airport's various expansion plans, a review of their EIR documents or environmental documents, and had Sam Hindy tell me it's the city of Millbrae's job to have to review the airport's expansion plans, which I have done, only to have the airport as well as high-speed rail come back and say, yeah, Millbrae, you will suffer, but you need to do it for the regional good.
Thank you.
It is past time that Millbrae stops paying the regional fault. And it is your responsibility to look out for all of us.
Thank you. We have one member on Zoom, Darlene Yapley.
Hi
Ms.
there.
Yapley?
I just wanted to clarify the roles and responsibilities. It is a little bit funny because the federal government, through the reauthorizations, sets the legislation that the FAA follows. As Ann Schneider mentioned, there's many laws that did not pass but were proposed by former Representative Spear. And one of them was prioritizing noise impacts equally to safety and efficiency. So I just think that the slide doesn't represent what is possible, which is that the federal government could come up with new rules and laws, et cetera, that affect all of these things that are on here, saying that we can't do them. Now, I do understand you have the noise abatement policy of November 1976, but I think the point that I want to make is that we are all empowered to work with our congressionals to create laws that could overturn this noise abatement policy November 1976, which is what the reauthorizations are all about, and the importance that we should always have hope that we can change things and not be stuck. And that would change a lot of these things, like residents just seek to understand and act accordingly. We work very closely with our federal government to try to come up with some of these ideas and support what they're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment, Diane?
There are no other public comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Jean, go ahead and field the questions from the members of the committee, if there are some.
Okay. Christine Boyle.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, nope. Okay.
Thank you.
Through the chair. Okay.
Supervisor Spear, would you like to go ahead?
Yes, thank you. I'm regrettably all too familiar with what is the law and how we are oftentimes handcuffed in our ability to get any changes. But having said that, it is really critical for us to have a representative from the congressional office attend these meetings, because that is the one point where you can get some attention by the FAA as reauthorization bills come up. At one point, we tried to even include a requirement that the FAA consider health as one of the aspects under their jurisdiction. So those 8 bills were introduced. They did not move, but I think it's really important for members of Congress, and I believe in subsequent years, Congressman Panetta and Congresswoman Eshoo also took those 8 bills and each introduced them. It's important that they be reintroduced because it keeps the issue in front of Congress. And so I would recommend at the appropriate time, Madam Chair, that we send a letter to Congressman Mullen for sure, and if we believe there should be other congressional representatives appearing, that we ask that they identify a staff member that would attend each of these meetings so that there could be a direct conduit to the congressman for purposes of interacting with the FAA.
Yeah, no problem. And Speaker or Leader Pelosi's office, Congresswoman Pelosi's office as well, I would think. Thank you, Supervisor Spear. Are there other questions or comments?
Sandy Alvarez.
Thank you. With regards to the risk pollution, is there a way that, or is the Bay Area Air Quality Management helping us to mitigate this issue? Because it's air pollution and it's in the Bay Area. We're an agency that basically helps us control mitigating the air pollution. For example, like we use that for mitigating when it comes to the demolition of, like in building permit process, they help us mitigate controlling the air pollution whenever a whole house is being demolished. I mean, it's not just one part of the air pollution, but the bigger issue or the bigger picture is what's above us. And I was wondering if the agency can help us, if this is something that they can also mitigate on our behalf.
I'm not all too familiar with the emissions part of things. I am a aviation noise consultant first and foremost, so take what I say here with a little bit of a grain of salt. But there are people at the FAA that are looking at the emissions over all of the air transportation system because there have been, some pressure put on them to be able to reduce those emissions over time. And so I do know that there's people looking at that. In terms of regulation, I don't believe there is much there yet. So it is still up to, according to the EPA, the local jurisdictions that have the control over that. But, you know, as Ann Schneider said earlier, airports are exempt from that currently. I don't know how much longer they will necessarily be exempt, because again, the FAA has been asked to take a look at that. But they're looking at it on a system-wide basis, not a local basis.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the group have a comment or question?
All right, thank you. Thank you, Jean. All right, thank you very much. So that concludes our presentations. We will move on to item 13, which is member updates. So this is an opportunity for Roundtable members to share updates from their jurisdictions, highlight recent developments, or discuss relevant activities related to airport noise and community impacts. So do we have any member comments?
I see no one on my end.
All right, great, thank you. Thank you, Vice Chair. All right, I just have a few. Doug, please know we are very anxious to welcome the new Executive Director of SFO. So when he is able to come, I think that will be terrific. We'd like to welcome him, and we'd like him to get to know us. I have a personal thank you to Vanessa Lee. Thank you so much for helping us get prepared today. And also, I think we're really lucky to have Supervisor Spear on this body. As we've heard, she was an advocate in Congress, and I know she and her staff worked very hard on these issues, and it's really exciting to have her on this board. So welcome back to the Board of Supervisors, Supervisor Spear, and thank you so much for joining us tonight and on this committee. We really feel like you are going to be a great advocate for these issues. Seeing no more pending business of the Roundtable, I think we will adjourn tonight in memory of those who perished 1 week ago. So thank you very much, and we will see you in 2 months. This meeting is adjourned.